Hey everyone, what's going on? First of all, I just want to thank everyone that's still here with me. I've pretty much shafted y'all over the past month. I haven't uploaded anything. Yeah, it has something to do with school, but the other thing, it's because I just didn't know what to make. I didn't know what to do, and I just wasn't in the spirit of making videos. So I'm back now, and I have a pretty interesting new series I'm gonna introduce. And because today is September 20th, which is tonight is Night of Champions, so inspired by that, I'm going to do a what if scenario. Now, first of all, I'm not the biggest, wrestling fan in terms of history. Like, I ain't been watching it for no 30 years because, first of all, I'm not even 30 years old. But I was watching it for a good 14, 15 years solid, even though I've been on and off over the past my first couple years. Like during the Attitude Era, I watched it around 98, 99, a little bit of 2000. Then I took a break, and then I came back in 2005. So I did do a pretty big gap. It was around that time. I don't know exactly. I think it was like 3 years or so. But I'm going to talk about a topic that I did not actually see when it first came out, but I've done my research on it. And because Sting is in the main event for tonight's pay-per-view, what if Sting was a part of the invasion angle? Now, I know a lot of people don't like the invasion angle, but I'm going to keep it consistent. I'm going to leave everything just about the same. I'm not going to completely change the invasion angle, but Sting being there does drastically change that, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit. So, first of all, if Sting goes joins the invasion angle pretty recent, or like right at the start of it, I believe that Stone Cold may not have never joined the alliance in the first place simply because it would not be necessary because they would have the biggest guy from WCW, which would be Sting. There would be no need for him to to turn on the WWE. So I do think at some point instead of Austin being the champion, I think that Sting would have won the title. I don't know. Sting may have been in that triple threat match. Well, it would have been a triple threat match maybe between him, Austin, Rock, and Sting could have won the title. He could have been added in at the last second or something. Or somewhere down the line around SummerSlam. That's when the Invasion angle ended, I believe. I think that Sting would have won in the champion and would have lost it at SummerSlam. So in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, Sting probably would have been the WWF champion at some point. So now let's fast forward. Now WrestleMania 20, not 20, I'm sorry, 18. It's unclear what Sting would have been a part of. He could have, instead of it being Austin versus Razor Ramon at or Scott Hall at WrestleMania 18, it may have been Sting versus Austin. I think that would have been a good match if they hadn't had that match in between, the invasion angle, which was at the previous WrestleMania. So if they didn't do that match around the invasion angle, I think that would have been a good WrestleMania 18 match. Um, so somewhere down the line, Sting may have turned face. I can see him feuding with maybe. It's hard to tell. He could have got involved with Lesnar's big push. He could have been involved in that. Him and Hogan could have had a match for the title because Hogan won the title from Triple H not too long ago. I believe at some point Triple H would have fought in Sting, but I think that would have been during the Evolution angle. During those 2 years that they had that run. I think it would have happened there. But so at some point, I think Triple H would have fought Sting a lot sooner than would have happened in real life. But it probably would have been best to do it around his Evolution run. So speaking of that, speaking of 2003, I do believe at some point The Undertaker and Sting will have a match a lot sooner like we want in real life. I think that Undertaker would not fight L Train, A Train, and Big Show in that handicap match at WrestleMania 19. I think that it would have been Sting and the Undertaker. Another thing is that I think it could have been where Undertaker could have went back to his, his dead man gimmick instead of staying in his American Badass gimmick for another year. I think he would have been back to his old gimmick a lot sooner. Or what they could have did was they could have had him stuck with that American Badass angle, and Sting probably would have won the match, and then many years down the line, Undertaker and Sting could have had a rematch, but I doubt it. I think he just would have went back to his dead man gimmick a lot sooner. So either it's hard to tell who would win. Well, I think obviously probably Undertaker would win because the streak was still very alive and active then. So I do think Sting and Undertaker would have fought at that WrestleMania. I think that would have been the best time to do it. Undertaker is in his like around 37, 38 around this time, and Sting is in his mid 40s around this time. So I believe that Sting and Undertaker would have put up a very good match. This would have been two wrestlers that would have put on a good match than what they might do in real life, maybe, hopefully, next year, WrestleMania, maybe. Simply because if you look how Sting is now today and how good he is, how good he moves, just imagine how much better he would have been back then. So I think that would have happened. Undertaker probably would have gotten the win, but it would have been a great match. So let's move on to after that Evolution. Like I said, Sting, I can see them having a match. Next year's WrestleMania, I do believe that instead of Undertaker and Kane, when Undertaker did come back with his Dead Man gimmick at WrestleMania 20, I do think that would have been different. I think that Sting and Kane would have feuded. I think that would have been a good feud. Um, because they would have had good chemistry. Kane, was a lot better back then. Um, I do think that could have been a good match. They could have had an Inferno match, a Hell in a Cell match. Who knows what would have happened? But again, this is pure speculation. But I do think that Sting and Kane probably would have fought at a WrestleMania, probably next year. I don't know what Undertaker would have done. Maybe I don't know who he could have fought in. I don't think he would have been in no championship matches or not. He may have. He may have been a part of, I don't know, the WWE title match, but I doubt it though, because that was a good match as it is. So I do think that Kane and Sting would have fought at WrestleMania 20, and Sting would have gotten the win. Now, keep in mind, Sting is several years older than The Undertaker, so he might not have that great run that The Undertaker had, like through like the 2000s up to like 2000, what, I think 10, I would say. He may not have that long run, or he might even have a Shawn Michaels type schedule. He might have retired at this point. It's hard to tell, because at this point he probably would have done everything he wanted to do. He may have won a Royal Rumble at some point, but I do think at this point he probably would have started putting people over. I would say that I would probably give him another couple years. He could have had a feud with Kurt Angle. He could have had a feud with Chris Jericho around 2008-ish, because they were both in WCW. But I do think at some point Sting would have retired a lot sooner than, he wouldn't be around today. So, let's talk about some negatives and positives of Sting being in the invasion angle. So, first of all, if Sting is in the invasion angle, first of all, we wouldn't see that surprise heel turn again with Austin, because he pretty much turned heel twice in that year. One against The Rock when he feuded with Mr. McMahon, and then he turned again on WWE, went to WCW. Uh, I think we would not have seen that. Austin would have stayed face probably for the rest of his career. Austin would have still retired at WrestleMania 19 because you know that power driver he had at a couple other WrestleManias ago. It was already set in stone he was gonna have a short career. So I do think that would have been missed. That was pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure back during that time people were shocked that he did that. Um, Another thing of Sting being there, people may not have gotten the pushes that they have. Now, the reason why I didn't mention it before, I wanted to save it for now. If Sting being there, I think there is a good possibility that Chris Benoit may not have won the 2004 Royal Rumble. I think it may have been Sting, because think about it. If Triple H and Sting had a feud during his Evolution run, and during this time, Evolution was still somewhat around during this 2004. Uh, I do believe that Sting could have replaced uh, Chris Benoit. He could have won the Royal Rumble and went to WrestleMania and got his revenge against Triple H and won the title. So I think that could have been a negative. And FYI, that is my favorite match of all time, that triple threat match. I don't care what Benoit did. I'm not going to erase the fact that that is such a great match. Well, I would say that it's probably the best triple threat match of all time. I don't know about best match. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So I do think Chris Benoit may not have ever won a title. However, a year later, Eddie Guerrero would have died just the way he did in real life. There could have been a possibility if instead of Rey Mysterio, it could have been Chris Benoit, because Chris Benoit was closer to Eddie than Rey Mysterio was, to a degree. So I think that Rey Mysterio would have got cheated out of his world title match and run if Sting had went to the invasion angle. So I'm just going off on a tangent right now, but you can pretty much guess that with Sting being there, some people's pushes would have been changed. But now let's talk about some of the positives. First of all, the invasion angle would have been a lot better. I think we would all agree with that, with Sting being there, because he was missing. It wouldn't make sense for everyone else to be there but Sting. Another thing is that with Sting being there, we would have had that Undertaker match that we all want so badly, and it would have been with a younger Undertaker and a younger Sting that could have put on a better match. Another thing is that Sting could have had a much better career than going to TNA for those 9 years wrestling in gymnasiums. I don't care who I piss off, but it would have been better if Sting had went to the WWE from the start and not go to TNA in the first place. And overall, I think that Sting being there would have made wrestling a little bit better, even during that 2006 drought, because a lot of people say 2006 was such a bad year. I think with Sting being there, I think he would have spiced things up enough and made it a little bit more interesting, because we would have seen more matches that I did not mention that would have happened. Maybe, I don't know, Sting versus Big Show again, or Sting versus, I don't know, Eddie Guerrero. Sting could have had so many different matches. He could have jump shifted to Raw or SmackDown. It would not have mattered. It would have worked either way. But Sting being there would have changed everything for the better. And I do think by the time 2015 comes, Sting would have been in the Hall of Fame. Sting would have been retired by now. It would have been no reason for him to be wrestling at this point. So anyway, guys, that's it. Leave your comments. What do you think would have happened if Sting was a part of the invasion angle? And thank you guys for watching. Leave any suggestions, and I'll try to keep this a week-to-week thing. Stay tuned for next week.